Crystal Beaudry here with Crystal's Clean Kitchen, where we help make clean eating a lifestyle. So over the past couple of weeks, we've been doing a series that's all the fun things that you can make with cottage cheese. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to make some cottage cheese scrambled eggs. I know that sounds kind of crazy. Okay, so for my life, I personally need to be eating about 150 to 200 grams of protein a day. I know that sounds insane, but I try to at least have 50 grams per meal of protein. That can kind of be challenging. So this breakfast is a game changer for those of us who are trying their best to get some extra protein in our diet. Before we get into it though, would you do me a huge favor and hit that like button, only because it's gonna help the algorithm send this video to more people. Thank you so much. Here is everything that you are going to need for this recipe. So we're gonna be starting with 4 eggs, a half of a cup of some cottage cheese, and whatever kind of seasonings that you prefer. So you could do some chives, some onion powder, some pepper, and some Celtic sea salt. Now this is the base of the recipe, but some meat would be really good in here. Maybe some grilled steak that's left over from the night before, some sausage or bacon, or even some roast beef. You could do any type of vegetable that you wanted in here too. I like to do green pepper, maybe some tomatoes and avocados, whatever you prefer, you can add to this recipe. We are going to be using the blender for this because it is gonna make this a lot more fluffy, and then also it's gonna get rid of the curds that are in the cottage cheese. This recipe is also great because you can do whatever amount of eggs you want, if you only want 2 or if you only want more than 4. I usually eat about 5 eggs in the morning, and so does my husband. And actually, you could even add in more cottage cheese if you wanted also. I think a cup of cottage cheese would be just fine in here. Okay, little onion powder, little garlic powder, just a touch, some chives, and a little Celtic sea salt. I could add the spices afterwards. I just decided to do it first. But I know some of the great chefs say, don't add it until after. Now I always put olive oil in the bottom of my pan. You could do butter though, or nothing, whatever you prefer. Now, I was making eggs the other day for a group of people, and they were like, oh my goodness, your eggs are so fluffy. What is your secret? The secret is blending them or using the hand mixer for a really long time, getting them really nice and fluffy. And of course, now you know you can add cottage cheese to this also. The other secret with getting really fluffy eggs is to constantly be stirring it. As you can see, I'm dragging it across the bottom. That is going to make them extra fluffy as well. This is cooking up nicely. So we eat eggs for breakfast every single day. And my son, Caden, he likes carbs more than he does his protein. And so eating eggs every day, he kind of sometimes can get annoyed. But I think that he would actually really like these because he is all about the fluffy eggs. And then when I'm done with this, I'm gonna even put a little bit of cheese on the top because that sounds good as well. We're gonna plate our eggs. Now this actually, I know it kind of sounded like it was a lot of food, but this is not that much food. And then I'm just going to be shredding a little cheese over the top of this. I'm gonna also put a little bit more chives on the top just to give it a little color. Here you go. This looks amazing. Here it is. Now that obviously only took a couple of minutes to make because eggs are so incredibly easy. Now I had another girl talk to me and she's like, I only have like a piece of toast for breakfast. And I was like, why don't you just make eggs? It's so easy. She's like, no, eggs take too long. They really don't. You can do it. They only take a couple of minutes. The other great thing about this recipe is that it's super interchangeable. So I could add whatever vegetables I want. A lot of times I will add some green pepper especially, maybe even some tomatoes or some avocado, and you can also add a protein to this. Now I generally love my husband making steak. He just makes a couple at the beginning of the week, and then I can add a little bit of steak, maybe 2 to 4 ounces whenever I need it, and that is a huge boost of protein as well. So let's give this a taste test. Super flavorful with all of those different herbs that I used and spices. I love how fluffy it is. Seriously, when you are making eggs next, make sure to blend them in the blender, be stirring them constantly, and you will get some beautifully nice fluffy eggs. Now, the cottage cheese, you cannot taste it at all. A lot of times people make eggs and what do? They add a little bit of milk to it. This is that same concept. It is a thicker milk consistency once you blend it. And when you mix that in with the eggs, it just makes it really, really light and fluffy and taste amazing. Now, you don't have to blend it if you don't want to. You could just put the actual curds in there too. That would taste great also. Well, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget that we're doing that whole series on cottage cheese. So if you want to watch some of those episodes, I have a ton of lunch episodes, supper episodes, and some sweet treats. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And of course, stay tuned for some more great recipes. We'll see you next time.